Imagine a time before the tech giants we know today, a world where personal computers were just beginning to take shape. Everyone knew that personal computers were going to revolutionize the world, but not many knew how that would happen. Early on, spreadsheets proved to be a catalyst that made the business world adopt personal computers, and that created a heated battle for the spreadsheet market that ultimately ended up with the unfortunate rise and dominance of Excel. While businesses and professional users needed spreadsheets for their work, everyone needed a word processor. It would simplify the task of writing letters, essays, and all kinds of documentation essential in daily life. With the sudden recognition of this market, an intense and fierce battle broke out, one that saw a former New York filmmaker luckily find himself at the forefront of the revolution, only to be displaced by WordStar, a word processor that started its journey as a clone of his own word processor. WordStar took over the massive word processor market, becoming the biggest software company of the mid-80s, only to wrestle itself to bankruptcy due to internal turmoil, which left the door open for the next market leader, WordPerfect, which ruled the market until Microsoft ruthlessly took over the market, a market they still dominate to this day. This is the story of the word processor wars, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
That's The Who, Pete Townsend, Keith Moon, Roger Daltrey, and John Entwistle. Magic Buzz, 68 degrees.
Our story begins in 1975 with Michael Shrayer, who had just moved to California after spending 20 years in New York City as a filmmaker. Like many hobbyists of his time, he enjoyed assembling electronic kits and was among the early computer hobbyists who bought and assembled the MIT's Altair 8800 computer. To make the computer more functional, he modified a public domain assembler program to run on the Altair. Fellow computer hobbyists wanted to buy Shrayer's assembler program, giving him an unexpected and lucrative new business. Having never heard of the concept of a word processor, Shrayer nonetheless believed that he should be able to use his computer instead of a typewriter to write documentation for his assembler program. So he wrote another program. He called it the Electric Penicil, which became the first word processor for a microcomputer ever made, and officially released it in December 1976. Since this was pre the computer revolution, no large network of computer stores existed yet. He advertised the software in computer magazines such as BYTE and sold the program via mail order. As customers requested the program for their specific computers and operating systems, he ported the word processor to as many machines and operating systems as he possibly could, resulting in 78 versions of his word processor. By the late 70s, Electric Penicil was by far the most popular word processor on the market. However, Electric Penicil's market dominance started to decline in the early 80s. Many clones appeared as it became more evident that people wanted word processors. It also didn't help that the popularity of Electric Penicil made it an early target for software pirates. For every copy sold by Electric Penicil, 10 copies were pirated. So Shrayer, seemingly not up for the intensifying word processor wars, decided to sell the rights to his software. Electric Penicil remained on the market through the 1980s, but by 1982 it had already lost its lead in the word processing market. It would be ironically a product that started off its life as a clone of Electric Penicil that took the market lead. Micropro International debuted its word processor WordStar in 1978, and it quickly became the dominant word processor for the CP/M market. It was feature-rich and mainly targeted touch typists who loved its key-based commands, and it was also the first WYSIWYG word processor, meaning that the formatting of the document on the computer screen would appear exactly the same as when it was printed out. By 1983, WordStar's success had made Micropro International the largest microcomputer software company in the world, with sales that year reaching $70 million. But amidst its immense success, trouble began brewing. Seymour Rubinstein, the founder of Micropro, got into a dispute with the WordStar development team, and depending on who's telling the story, they either quit or were fired. The departure of the development team caused WordStar's next version to be delayed. Because of this, it began losing massive ground to other word processors, which were beginning to surpass WordStar with their features. When the new version of WordStar did eventually ship, the new development team that had replaced the old one had changed a lot of the functions from the original WordStar. They replaced the popular key-based commands with a mnemonic layout, much to the disdain of its touch typist user base. To add to this, the new WordStar was incompatible with the original WordStar, meaning documents created in either one of the softwares couldn't be opened or edited by the other. It was so different that Micropro decided not to launch it as an update to the old WordStar, but as a completely new separate product called WordStar 2000. While simultaneously also still selling the original WordStar, both were priced at the same price for $495. This caused mass confusion among consumers, as no one knew which one was the right one to buy for their specific use cases. The splitting of WordStar's products created a massive rift within the organization. Sales teams and development teams were divided along the lines of which products they worked on. The company no longer saw itself as a unified organization, but rather two competing entities within the same building. As WordStar wrestled itself to the ground, failing to innovate in the process, it lost its dominant position in the word processor market and eventually filed for bankruptcy. But for the more in-depth story, be sure to watch the video I made about the disaster that was WordStar. One of the word processors that overtook WordStar as it wrestled itself to insolvency was WordPerfect. In 1979, Brigham Young University graduate student Bruce Bastian and computer science professor Alan Ashton created word processing software for a Data General mini computer system owned by the city of Orem, Utah. Bastian and Ashton retained ownership of the software that they created. They then founded Satellite Software International to market the program to other Data General users. The first version of WordPerfect for the IBM PC was released the day after Thanksgiving in 1982. In 1983, the next version of WordPerfect was released for DOS. It was updated to support more print drivers. They quickly followed that update up with WordPerfect 4.0 in 1984, then WordPerfect 4.2 in 1986. With each update, they added features and improved the interface of the software, steadily creating a big user base, but they were still behind the market leader WordStar. WordPerfect 4.2 introduced automatic paragraph numbering and placement of footnotes and endnotes, which were features loved by law officers and academics. It was at this point that it became a much better word processor than WordStar. WordPerfect became the first program to overtake the original market leader in a major application category on the DOS platform when it overtook WordStar. In November 1989, WordPerfect Corporation kept building upon its success, releasing its most popular version of WordPerfect ever, WordPerfect 5.1 for DOS, which was the first version to include pull-down menus to supplement the traditional function key combinations. It had support for tables, a spreadsheet-like feature, and full support for typesetting options such as italic, redline, and strike-through. This version also included print preview, a graphical representation of the final printed output. This feature formed the foundation of WordPerfect 6.0's graphic screen editing. WordPerfect did not forget about people on older DOS machines and created WordPerfect 5.1 Plus for DOS, which was introduced to allow older DOS-based PCs to still be able to utilize the new WordPerfect 6 file format. At this point in time, WordPerfect commanded over 50% of the word processor market, by far being the most dominant player. This was due to its relentless commitment to improve its word processor. WordPerfect 6.0 for DOS, released in 1993, it could switch between its traditional text-based mode and a graphical mode, and showed the document as it would print out, the most advanced WYSIWYG ever in a word processor. When WordPerfect 6.0 was released, the company had grown to command more than 60% of the word processing software market. However, this would prove to be the height of its popularity, as Microsoft had its eyes set on the word processor market. The first version of Microsoft Word, initially called Multi-Tool Word, was released all the way in 1983 for Xenex and MS-DOS systems. Unlike many of its competitors, Word was designed to be a WYSIWYG program from the start. This was a revolutionary concept at the time, as most word processors were text-based and did not display formatting in real time. Another innovation feature of Word was its use of a mouse, which was a novelty for most computer users in the early 1980s. To promote this new way of interacting with the software, Microsoft even included a free mouse with every version of Word. Despite these innovations, the initial release of Word did not gain immediate popularity. The market was dominated by established players like WordStar and WordPerfect, and many users were hesitant to switch to a new and unfamiliar program. However, Microsoft was undeterred and continued to improve the software. A significant turning point came in 1989 with the release of Word 1.0 for Windows. By this time, Microsoft had also developed Windows, a graphical user interface operating system that provided a more user-friendly interface compared to MS-DOS. Word 1.1 was designed to take full advantage of these graphical capabilities of Windows, offering users an intuitive and visually appealing word processing experience. What gave Microsoft the competitive edge in the GUI landscape was that they had prior experience in developing a GUI-based word processor. In 1985, when Macintosh was released, Microsoft released Microsoft Word for Macintosh. The Macintosh computer had a graphical user interface, and apart from Mac Write, Apple's own word processor, Microsoft Word for Macintosh was the most popular word processor on Macintosh computers. The Windows version of Word improved upon the Macintosh version of Word, introducing many features that would become standard in later releases, such as TrueType fonts, which allowed for scalable text and better print quality, and a toolbar that provided quick access to commonly used functions. Its integration with the Windows operating system was seamless, making Word 1.0 for Windows far more appealing than its DOS-based predecessors. Despite these advancements, Word 1.0 for Windows faced stiff competition from WordPerfect, which still held a significant share of the word processing market. However, Microsoft came up with a brilliant strategy that would completely flip the dynamic of the productivity software market. In 1990, Microsoft released the first version of Office, which bundled Word, Excel, a spreadsheet program, and PowerPoint, a presentation program, into a single package. This strategy proved to be incredibly successful, as it provided users with a comprehensive set of productivity tools that worked seamlessly together. The bundling of Word with other popular applications in the Office suite made it more attractive to businesses and educational institutions. Instead of purchasing separate licenses for different software, organizations could now buy a single suite that included everything they needed. This not only simplified the purchasing process, but also ensured compatibility between the different applications. This Microsoft strategy prompted other industry players to follow suit with their own productivity software suites. So in 1994, WordPerfect did just that. It agreed to an acquisition offer by Novell, a major player in the networking software industry. The acquisition was valued at nearly $1.4 billion. The rationale behind the acquisition was to combine forces by creating a comprehensive suite of office productivity software to compete with Microsoft's growing dominance. Novell aimed to integrate WordPerfect with its other products, including the Quattro Pro spreadsheet software and the GroupWise email system. However, the integration proved to be more challenging than anticipated. The transition from DOS to Windows was a significant hurdle. WordPerfect for Windows, although powerful, was not as stable or user-friendly as its DOS counterpart. Users experienced frequent crashes and compatibility issues, which eroded confidence in the product. As Windows became the standard operating system for personal and business computing, Microsoft was able to ensure that Word was optimized for the platform, offering better performance and stability compared to its competitors. Many of the issues that WordPerfect had were related to failure to optimize for the Windows platform, which they alleged was Microsoft's fault, and tried to sue them unsuccessfully for antitrust violations. Compounding WordPerfect's troubles were issues associated with the release of the first 32-bit version, WordPerfect 7, which was intended for use on Windows 95. While WordPerfect 7 contained notable improvements over the 16-bit WordPerfect for Windows 3.1, it was released in May 1996, 9 months after the introduction of Windows 95, Microsoft Office 95, and Word 95. Even with its late release, the initial release suffered from notable stability problems. WordPerfect 7 also did not have a Microsoft Design for Windows 95 logo, as Microsoft set standards for application design behavior and interaction with the operating system. So not having that certification on a software product made it appear less professional. To make matters worse, the original release of WordPerfect 7 was incompatible with Windows NT, hindering its adoption in many professional environments. The NT-enabled version of WordPerfect 7 launched in Q1 1997, over 6 months after the introduction of Windows NT 4.0 and a year and a half after the introduction of the competing Office 95, which supported Windows NT out of the box. It was so late that it launched after Word 97 hit the shelves, Microsoft's next-generation word processor. Keep in mind that WordPerfect 7 was intended to compete with Word 95, and it suddenly found itself still on the market by the time Word 97 came out. In 1996, after struggling to make WordPerfect a success within its portfolio, Novell sold the software to Corel Corporation. The sale price was a mere fraction of what Novell had originally paid, around $186 million in cash and stock. Corel saw an opportunity to revitalize WordPerfect and position it as a cornerstone of its own Office suite. Corel made several improvements to the software, including better compatibility with Windows and new features aimed at competing with Microsoft Office. Despite these efforts, WordPerfect's market share continued to decline. Microsoft Word, which had been bundled with Microsoft Office, was rapidly gaining popularity. Microsoft's aggressive marketing strategies and the seamless integration of its software suite with the Windows operating system created a formidable challenge for Corel. While WordPerfect had more than 50% of the worldwide word processing market in 1995, by 2000, Word had up to 95% of that market and still remains dominant till this day.